You're listening to the N2K Space Network.
Imagine a world where you're always one step ahead of cyber threats, where your defenses are impenetrable because you see what others don't. Welcome to Team Cymru's Threat Intelligence Solutions. With real-time access to the world's largest threat intelligence data ocean, they enable you to turn the tables on attackers. Transform your security from reactive to proactive through accelerated threat hunting and incident response, made possible through automation. Empower your team with visibility and insights to start defending your organization like never before. Team Cymru. Be the hunter, not the hunted. Learn more at team-cymru.com/cyberwire. That's team-cymru.com/cyberwire.
It is International Women's Day today, so we thought it's a great day to celebrate our female-led team here at T-Minus, so I'm sharing the mic today. Everybody, meet Jen Iben, our senior producer.
Hi.
Hi, Jen.
Hello.
And Liz Stokes from our production team.
Hi.
Hi. So Jen and Liz will be joining me for today's read before we speak to N2K President Simone Petrella about women in the STEM workforce in the second half of the show. And my producer Alice is off today, but there was no way she was going to miss the Friday cringe joke. So, okay, let's roll the Alice tape.
Of course I couldn't miss it. I don't care that I'm on mama duties for spring break. I had to bring you a bad space joke. So, are you ready for this? Why did Venus dump Mars? She only wanted a Pluto-Nick relationship.
Oh God. Great.
Thanks, Alice. Thank you for that.
T-minus 20 seconds to LOS speed rest. Go for deploy. Roger roll.
Today is March 8th, 2024. I'm Maria Varmazis.
I'm Jen Iben.
And I'm Liz Stokes, and this is T-Minus.
Viasat and Rocket Lab are teaming up. An end to Astra drama as they go private once again. The first entirely privately funded rocket might launch from Japan tomorrow. And our guest today is N2K Networks President Simone Petrella. And we're chatting about women in the STEM workforce. It's a perfect topic for today. All right, happy Friday, everyone. Here is our intel briefing for today.
The satellite communications company Viasat recently announced a data relay partnership with Rocket Lab, a key player in launch and space systems. They're rolling out a new demo to show off a new kind of space communications service focusing on high-speed, low-delay data relays for satellites in low Earth orbit. This initiative, set for early 2026 launch, is part of Viasat's involvement in NASA's Communications Services project, which aims to upgrade NASA's near-Earth communication capabilities as it phases out the older tracking and data relay satellite systems. Satellites in low Earth orbit often struggle with data relays because they need to see a ground station directly to talk to it. Viasat's solution uses an advanced relay tech, both Ka and L bands, to cut down on these delays, promising near-instant data handling. Rocket Lab's role? They're building the spacecraft bus and handling the mission's operational side. They're also adding a new L-band radio to the mix named Frontier to further enhance telemetry and command operations. This demo will not only showcase those cutting-edge relay services, but also include Viasat's real-time Earth ground services for direct communication. This is about more than just speeding up data. It's about flexibility and efficiency, allowing a satellite operator to manage their data flows more effectively, balancing costs and operational needs. Both companies are highlighting their collaboration as a step forward in supporting not just NASA's future missions, but also a variety of Earth observation and defense activities. Rocket Lab is emphasizing its ability to tailor spacecraft for complex missions, freeing up clients to concentrate on their unique technology and services. This partnership is a look into the future of satellite communications, promising more responsive, adaptive, and efficient operations for satellites circling our planet.
And we seem to have a resolution on the future of Astra Space. In a decisive move to save its faltering space venture, Astra Space is going private again, orchestrated by its founders Chris Kemp and Adam London. This pivot comes after a challenging stint on the public market, with Astra's share price plummeting from an ambitious $2.6 billion valuation at its public debut to a mere $13 million. The deal is set at a modest 50 cents per share. The transition to private ownership, recommended unanimously by an independent board committee, is portrayed as a lifeline for Astra, averting a looming Chapter 7 bankruptcy. This strategic retreat underscores a broader narrative of struggle within the space industry, where high stakes and high cost often clash with the harsh realities of technological challenges and market dynamics. Astra's journey reflects a roller coaster of ambitions and setbacks, from envisioning daily small rocket launches to grappling with launch failures and suspended launch operation since June 2022. The company's financial woes, marked by over $750 million in net losses, underscore the volatile intersection of pioneering space technology and fiscal sustainability. There are lessons for others to learn here. Business models and technology matter, doubly so in the public markets. Going public with unproven tech and an unproven business model is a sure path to disaster.
This Saturday, a Tokyo venture, Space One, aims to make history by launching the first entirely privately funded Japanese rocket, Kairos, carrying a government satellite from Kushimoto town, Wakayama. The rocket aims to deploy a satellite into low Earth orbit at 500 kilometers, about 50 minutes after liftoff. If successful, this launch will mark a pivotal moment for Japan's traditionally government-led space industry. Space One's vision extends to a cost-effective space delivery service targeting 30 launches annually by the 2030s, potentially enhancing Japan's global space competitiveness.
Moving from Japan to the UK now, satellite tracking and space traffic coordination company Slingshot Aerospace announced that they're going international for the first time by opening new offices in the UK, in both London and Cornwall. For their new UK presence, Slingshot says they're specifically looking to hire software engineers and data analysts. The new GM of the International Business Unit for Slingshot Aerospace Limited is friend of the show, Melissa Quinn, formerly the head of Spaceport Cornwall. In a press release about the new UK offices for Slingshot, Quinn said this: "Establishing a base in the UK not only strengthens our global presence, but also plays a pivotal role in advancing space sustainability and enhancing national security. We will leverage our expertise to work closely with UK and international partners, harnessing the power of space for good and fostering collaboration and innovation on a global scale."
The Space Force is evolving its training and operations to tackle the complexities of modern space conflicts, the Military Times reports. Recognizing the strategic significance of space in global security, the service is working to redefine officer training and contemplating changes in the promotion criteria to better prepare its personnel. With an aim for flexibility and mission capability, the initiative marks a shift towards comprehensive understanding of space operations across intelligence, cyber, and satellite management. This approach aims to foster a versatile force capable of addressing multifaceted challenges in space. Additionally, the Space Force is focusing on operational efficiency by increasing crew sizes to reduce burnout and ensure mission readiness. These reforms underscore the Space Force's commitment to maintaining a leading edge in space security and operations, reflecting the critical role of space in contemporary warfare and defense strategies.
Venus Aerospace achieved the first long-duration engine test of their rotating detonation rocket engine in partnership with DARPA, the Defense Advanced Research Projects Agency. Rotating detonation rocket engines, or RDREs, hold the potential for a 15% efficiency boost over conventional rocket engines. This means decreased propellant usage, which enables longer flights with less fuel. Venus Aerospace's RDRE uses stable, storable propellants, enhancing safety and efficiency in hypersonic and space missions. Venus says that this milestone achievement shows their commitment to advancing flight technology with the support of key partners like DARPA and validates the potential of RDRE engines. Haha, and that wraps up this very special Friday Intel briefing. Thank you, Jen and Liz, for joining me on the newsread today.
Thanks, Maria.
Thank you, Maria.
You both did a great job. I'm super proud of you both.
Thank you.
We've got a few interesting weekend reading and watching links for you in our show notes today. One of them is a review of a new space film to watch this weekend. It's a new NASA documentary called Space: The Longest Goodbye. And this documentary is a deep dive into the hearts and minds of astronauts bracing for the loneliness of space. The documentary peeks behind the NASA curtain, showing us the mental battles faced during long missions to the moon or to Mars. And you can read the review of this documentary and watch the trailer at the link in our show notes. All of it is at space.n2k.com. Hey, T-Minus crew. Tune in tomorrow for T-Minus Deep Space, our show for extended interviews, special editions, and deep dives with some of the most influential professionals in the space industry. Tomorrow, we have N2K President Simone Petrella talking about workforce development for women in STEM fields like ours. Check it out while you're brewing that extra coffee you're going to need after Sunday's daylight savings time spring forward. While I wish we could skip daylight savings, you really don't want to miss Simone's extended interview.
This episode is brought to you by Palo Alto Networks, the leader in cybersecurity. As AI-driven attacks increase, organizations can't afford to have network security that's stuck in the past. Discover how Palo Alto Networks can help you predict what's coming and proactively secure against it with a zero-trust, AI-powered network security platform built to secure whatever, whenever, wherever. To learn more, visit paloaltonetworks.com/network security platform.
My guest today is Simone Petrella, who is the president of N2K Networks, a news-to-knowledge media company that also happens to publish this show. In addition to being my employer and publishing podcasts that cover cybersecurity, intelligence, and space, N2K also offers training and testing in cybersecurity. Simone has spearheaded a study with the organization called Women in Cybersecurity, and the study is meant to help identify gaps in the workforce where training and opportunities lag for women and underrepresented people. She joins me today to tell me more about it.
Cybersecurity, like a lot of STEM fields, probably not as acute as in space, but we do have a pretty significant dearth of women and representation of women and all minorities in cybersecurity when it comes to the population. And most recently, I think we're now up to 24% of people who report working in cybersecurity are women. Only a few years ago, that was 11%. So we've made some significant strides. But what we're really excited about when it comes to sort of developing the workforce in cybersecurity specifically, but I think this is a kind of a true maxim for all industries, is there is an organization, it's called Women in Cybersecurity, WISIS for short, and they are a nonprofit organization that its mission includes trying to advance and provide opportunities for women to not only get into the field of cybersecurity, but continue to advance in their own development in cybersecurity. Just an incredible organization across the board. We have partnered with them to conduct a study of their professional population and identify through a survey what are the primary roles that most members report serving in, But more importantly, we're doing a technical skills assessment of that membership population. And the goal is to use that data and information to understand the kind of capacity across the organization of where women are actually have strengths and where they're aligned to the roles they're in, and provide some reports and insights on kind of where that population sits and what roles that there are kind of centers of influence and where there are some maybe areas for improvement and representation. And second of all, we're using that information to help inform WESIS as the organization, as well as its members, where there are gaps in their knowledge or learning relative to the roles they want to fill. So it can inform programming decisions. What are the initiatives that need to be put in place to help get these women into the types of roles that they want to aspire to get into, or as they continue to grow their careers? So it's full life cycle, because, the part of the challenge is you have to get women and minority into the field. You have to get them interested and feel confident that they can perform the work to start. But the work doesn't end there. You have to help advance their careers, because what we find in cybersecurity, I imagine this is very true in space too, is that the numbers then start to drop off as you actually get higher in your career. So you'll see progress in kind of entry level starting positions in cybersecurity or in STEM fields. And then as more advancement opportunities come up, the numbers start to dwindle again, and they start to leave the workforce for, a litany of reasons.
Yeah, no, it is absolutely a common thread. And that is something that I've often remarked on. Coming from cybersecurity, moving into space, I'm going, the two fields can be very different, but in that regard, there's a lot of similarity. And some things are just beyond the scope of, of a sector of the STEM world. Some things are life and greater societal pressures and all sorts of other things. But it is very interesting to me that there is that commonality of there often is a emphasis on pipeline, getting people in the door, but then what happens when people are in the door, and what happens when, people are looking for advancement or enrichment or whatever, and they can't find that path. What happens next?
Yeah. And there's a cultural component to it as well. And I think this is true in most STEM fields, cybersecurity and space included, which is, if you have the ambition and the passion to enter the field, it doesn't mean that that alone is going to sustain you or retain that person in the field. Because ultimately, people want to be accepted. They want their work to be valued. They want to see other people like themselves in that field, because that's what ultimately creates mentorship. It's what creates, you can see yourself in other people, and that kind of helps propel it forward. And it's hard to sort of sustain yourself in a career field where you see very few people who are that role model or kind of look like you or your career aspirations. So I think there's a cultural aspect on top of just the kind of getting the raw skills that people need to be successful in these jobs.
Yeah, what's interesting to me is I feel like cybersecurity's done a really heroic job. I mean, maybe I'm overpraising it, but I know there's been a sustained effort for quite a while on the cybersecurity side to do some cultural change from within, which is extraordinarily hard. I'm not going to say that it's there where it needs to be yet, but I've seen a lot of change in the last 15 years. Being, from booth babes being a standard thing to no longer being a thing. That's just like one easy
totally,
one.
Yeah.
and now that I'm like in the space world, I'm going, I feel a little bit like it is where I remember cybersecurity also being in terms of some cultural things that make me go, but change is hard. And it has to come from within. So I don't know. I'm like, I guess maybe advice for the space world coming from the cybersecurity world. Someone that's a really big ask.
We have to make decisions that require more diversity of perspectives, backgrounds, and education and experience that spans even beyond what has traditionally been like you were in IT or you were doing networking, and then you kind of progressed up and you went through this highly technical field where you were doing reverse engineering forensics. We need all those things, but it's definitely sort of expanded the aperture of kind of what we need to actually successfully execute the mission. And I think space is maybe just at the very beginning of that journey, because for the longest time, it was something that was like right in the sliver of, government-led initiatives, and the money that was required was kind of cost prohibitive. But now it's starting to become a commercialized space, and we're starting to explore that. And I have a little optimism because I think it will get there because the market has no choice but to get there. Because at some point you wake up and say, we have to make decisions and we have to have people who have a broader set of skills and perspective that are still in STEM, that still have technical skills and perspective, but we have to make decisions under a different context than how we did space exploration, in the 1950s.
I think that's a fantastic point. I also share that optimism. I think we'll see that. I'm impatient, though. I wanted it to happen yesterday.
I know, so do I. But then you think about, we only, got the right to vote, 100 years ago. It's not that fun.
I know. I tell my daughter that sometimes. She's like, what? I'm like, yeah, kid, believe it or not. It's crazy. It's just absolutely nuts to think about. I'm trying not to make this too much of let's make a broad statement about STEM, but I'm going to do that anyway because for me, it's very personal as someone who tried to go into STEM and then left. And I have my many personal reasons for that. I've seen many other women, the exact same trajectory that we were talking about, women who are extremely, extremely smart, highly motivated, hard workers. They go into their field of their dreams and then even if they don't have kids are a totally different situation. Even if they just stay dedicated to that job 1,100% of themselves and they never take off time to have kids, something often crushes them out. I've known many of these women and they're extraordinarily smart and a lot of them, they end up leaving anyway.
Yeah. Well, I think it's caretaking across the board because there is this, maybe it's distinctly American, I don't know, but whether it's kids or whether it's just caretaking in life and all the mental load of having to deal with the logistics of life. Women do take that burden on disproportionately. And then I believe this would sort of be my rant on it. I think that they're penalized for it because you get to a point you say, well, I have an older parent that needs caretaking, or there's someone else in the family that's having hard times. We sort of look to a lot of the female figures to be the ones to take on that nurturing role. And we still sort of say well, then the breadwinning is going to come from, someone who's just doing work 100% of the time. And so we don't create an environment where someone can kind of do both. We say, you know what? If you're not going home and actually doing advanced calculations until 3 a.m, you must not be cut out for this field. And I think that's such a disservice because, yes, there are always going to be passionate, hardworking people that dedicate the entirety of themselves to doing something. But if we think about it only like that, you are disenfranchising the majority of the population who is hardworking, is passionate, who wants to do a good job. But they also have, another job they have to do to pay the bills, or they do have a family, or they have someone that they need to take care of, in their lives. And so or frankly, they just have other diverse interests that aren't purely only about that one field.
Heaven forfend.
Right. God forbid you want to do something else other than code at night when you want to relax, so there's this sort of stigma that it's if you're not doing this all the time for fun, then you're never going to be successful in the industry. I'm I just think that that's short-sighted because those people exist, but that's not the majority of the population.
We've just begun to scratch the surface there, and you can hear more of our conversation in tomorrow's T-Minus Deep Space episode. We'll be right back. Welcome back. A 5,800-pound pallet of used batteries is heading towards Earth. No, this isn't one of those wacky asteroid the size of 40 Taylor Swift's headlines. This one's for real. And actually, that battery pallet, EP9, which was jettisoned from the ISS in 2021 with Canadarm2, nearly 3 tons of it has been slowly deorbiting since aforementioned jettison, but its reentry into Earth's atmosphere is extremely imminent. In fact, it's expected to reenter and possibly fragment on reentry sometime tonight through tomorrow. And that is why the German Federal Office for Civil Protection and Disaster Relief put out this notice about EP9's reentry. And it says this: between midday on March 8th and midday on March 9th, A larger space object is expected to re-enter the Earth's atmosphere and possibly fragment. Luminous phenomena or the perception of a sonic boom are possible. One estimate for EP9's re-entry window, as of time of this writing anyway, is March 8th, 1857 UTC, plus or minus 3 hours. There will possibly be some orbital debris from the casing, as the batteries will not entirely burn up on re-entry. Where the re-entry will occur exactly is an estimate at best. Again, this is an uncontrolled re-entry. But right now, Germany is on notice for possible debris. And the path for EP9 takes it all over Eastern Europe, Turkey, Saudi Arabia, and large swaths of the Indian and Pacific Oceans. All of those are possibilities, so it's really kind of hard to pin down. But as EP9 has gotten closer to re-entry in the last few days, people have actually spotted it brightly streaking across the sky. And it will be making a pass through the Yucatan and Florida later today as it passes up the North American East Coast. So if you spot something like that today or tomorrow in the skies, perhaps you got a glimpse of EP9 before its fiery demise. And if you want to track it for yourself on your favorite orbital tracking website or app, its international designation is 1998-067 Romeo Zulu. Good hunting, everybody. That's it for T- for March 8th, 2024. For additional resources from today's report, check out our show notes at space.n2k.com. And we'd love to know what you think of this podcast. You can email us at space@n2k.com or submit the survey in the show notes. Your feedback ensures that we deliver the information that keeps you a step ahead in this rapidly changing space industry. And we're privileged that N2K and podcasts like T- are part of the daily routine of many of the most influential leaders and operators in the public and private sector, from the Fortune 500 to many of the world's preeminent intelligence and law enforcement agencies. N2K Strategic Workforce Intelligence optimizes the value of your biggest investment, your people. We make you smarter about your team while making your team smarter. Learn more at n2k.com. This episode was produced by Alice Carruth, mixing by Elliot Peltzman and Trey Hester, with original music and sound design by Elliot Peltzman.
And I'm the associate producer, Liz Stokes.
And I'm executive producer Jen Iben.
Our VP is Brandon Karp, and I'm Maria Varmazis. Thanks for listening. Happy International Women's Day, everybody. Have a great weekend, and don't forget to spring forward.